The playground was supposed to be safe. For 8-year-old Emily Carter, it was the only place she could laugh freely after long mornings feeding chickens, collecting eggs, and carrying buckets almost half her size on her family's little farm. But that morning, instead of giggles and jump rope, it was the sound of jeers, cruel laughter, and finally, a sickening thud. Emily's small body hit the ground, her head snapping back against the hard earth. The bullies, 3 older kids who never tired of mocking her farm smell, her muddy boots, and her rough hands, stood over her. One had shoved her too hard, harder than he meant to, but none of them cared enough to stop. "You're nothing but a dirty farm girl," one sneered, while Emily's eyes blurred with tears and pain. But what they didn't know, what nobody at school seemed to realize, was who Emily's mother really was. Emily's mom, Sarah Carter, wasn't just a farmer's wife. She was a decorated Army veteran, a former combat medic who had served tours overseas and carried both scars and medals hidden away in a wooden box under her bed. But to Emily, she was simply Mom, the woman who tucked her in every night, patched up scraped knees with gentle hands, and reminded her, strength doesn't always look loud, sweetheart. Sometimes it looks like standing tall when others want you small. But Sarah hadn't told the town much about her past. They only saw the woman who milked cows at dawn and sold fresh produce at the Saturday market. They didn't see the steel in her spine, the fire in her heart. When Emily stumbled home that day, clutching the side of her head with trembling fingers, Sarah felt her world tilt. The sight of her daughter's tear-streaked face, the swelling on her temple, made her blood run cold. She knelt down, held Emily's face in her hands, and whispered, "Who did this?" Emily's small voice cracked. "They said I don't belong. They said I'm nothing." For Sarah, it wasn't just about bullies anymore. It was about dignity, about justice, about teaching her daughter that no one had the right to break her spirit. But Sarah also knew she couldn't storm into that school as an angry mother. She had to show strength in a way her daughter could learn from. The next morning, Sarah walked Emily into school herself. The halls quieted. Everyone knew Emily's mother as the quiet farm woman. But there was something different in her step, in her presence. It was commanding, unshakable. She went straight to the principal's office, Emily's small hand gripping hers. Her voice was calm but firm as steel. "My daughter was assaulted on your playground. I will not let this slide." The principal stammered, making excuses. "Kids will be kids, it was rough play." Sarah's eyes narrowed, her voice steady but cutting through the air like a blade. "No. Kids will be kids when they scrape their knees climbing a slide. Kids will be kids when they argue over who gets the ball. But smashing a child's head ain't." The sun was barely climbing over the horizon when Emily Carter finished her morning chores. At only 8 years old, she was already tougher than most kids her age. She carried pails of water, scattered feed for the chickens, and helped her mother gather eggs before school. Her hands were calloused, her nails chipped, but her heart was bright. She loved her life on the farm, even if it made her different. But being different wasn't something kids at school celebrated. It was something they tore apart. That day, on the playground, Emily felt the sting of it again. 3 older kids circled her, their voices dripping with cruelty. "Look at her boots, did she step in cow poop again? She smells like a barn. She's nothing but a dirty little farm rat." Emily bit her lip. She wanted to walk away, but one of the boys shoved her back. She stumbled. They laughed. Another push, harder this time. And then, before she could steady herself, one final shove sent her head cracking against the ground. The laughter echoed around her as pain shot through her skull and her vision blurred. The playground monitor was too far away. The other kids looked on but said nothing. And Emily, tears burning her cheeks, realized something heartbreaking: no one was going to stand up for her. But they didn't know who her mother was. Sarah Carter had lived 2 lives. In one, she was a farmer's wife, raising her daughter among cornfields and animals, wearing worn jeans and sun-faded shirts. In the other, long before Emily was born, she was Sergeant Sarah Carter, an Army combat medic who had saved lives under fire and carried the weight of war in her bones. She never bragged about it. She never boasted. Most people in town only knew her as the woman who sold eggs and vegetables at the market. But her silence was not weakness, it was discipline. And when Emily came home that day, clutching her swollen head, Sarah's discipline cracked. "Sweetheart, what happened?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling as she knelt to Emily's level. "They pushed me," Emily whispered. Her voice broke as the words spilled out. "They said I don't belong, they said I'm nothing." Sarah's jaw tightened. She had seen children broken by bombs and bullets, but nothing pierced her heart like her daughter's tears. She gathered Emily in her arms, stroking her hair. "Listen to me," she said firmly, her voice low but steady. "You are everything. And I promise you, they will never make you feel this small again." That night, Sarah sat awake at the kitchen table, staring at her medals. She hadn't fought wars to watch her daughter be crushed by bullies. Tomorrow, she decided, things would change. The next morning, Sarah walked Emily into school. The air in the hallway seemed to shift as she entered. Teachers paused mid-sentence. Students stared. She wasn't shouting, she wasn't storming, but there was a gravity in her step that demanded attention. In the principal's office, Sarah placed both